In tactical periodization, we would probably veer away from that and say, well, it's up to the player to decide. It's not for the faint-hearted. There's a lot going on in there: neuroscience, social science. It's not just football. There is a bigger depth. So you have your way that you play, and then you'll have your opponent. So how your opponent plays will then give you a strategy towards the game. Think about the game. So what's the essence of the game? When you watch a game of football, really watch a game of football. We say we love the game, but I always say, do you really love it? Do you really, really, really love it?
Hello coaches, welcome back to another Modern Soccer Coach podcast interview. This week we are joined by Coll, High Performance Director at Las Vegas Lights in the USL over here in the US. Phenomenal experience in the professional game and particularly around tactical periodization. He's done a webinar for us in the summer. It's 90 minutes, it's outstanding. This is 10 minutes from the webinar, followed by some questions that I go through with him. If you want to watch the full webinar, it's available on the Modern Soccer Coach website, our periodization package, 4 presentations. There's a link below with a special offer discount. Please check that out. Please subscribe, please like. Thank you so much for the support. Here's Ian, enjoy.
Hi everyone, my name's Coll. Presentation today will be on some GPS data and more importantly the tactical periodization of football. The presentation for you guys is to give you an insight into high performance level, mainly around the tactical periodization of football and how you can implement it at your club, no matter if it's grassroots all the way through to the professional game. So there's ideas you can take from the presentation to implement at your club as a coach or as a high performance practitioner. A little bit about me. So I've been 17 years in professional football. The last 3 years I've been assistant coach at first team level and 3 years of coaching experience in the academy level. Outside of that, I've been a fitness coach or high performance coach or a performance specialist. I worked in 5 different countries, mostly in Premier Division clubs. Okay, the next section of the presentation is really speaking about football fitness. So how we embrace the complexity of the game to provide the game model where players make intelligent decisions so they know the intensity of the match and provide the coaching staff with direction for their drills, but more importantly for the development of the team. So we must have a clear football intelligence is physical also. It's about players making decisions, when to move. So football actions. So in every action in football, there's a physical component to that. But more importantly, that the player must understand the tactical relevance of that physical movement. So I'll give you some examples of this. So how I'd create a session for that analysis on Real Madrid. Okay, so warm-up would be a positional passing. Second drill would be medium passing possession game, 7v6 overload, 20 minutes, 4 times 4 minutes, recovery 1-to-1. Large wingers possession game, 11v11, 20 minutes, 3 times 6, recovery 1-to-1. Wingers game, 20 minutes, 3 times 6. Okay. So the first drill, and I have the picture on the left-hand side, and then the passing drill on the right. So it's exactly what is on the graphic is here on the training drill. So you have your way that you play, and then you'll have your opponent. So how your opponent plays will then give you a strategy towards the game. So your tactical game model for that game will not change, but your tactical strategy may change game to game. Technically, how the players perform. So in one example, technically they'll have more time on the ball. Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayern Munich, they have less time on the ball. So technically the game will be faster against Bayern Munich. Physically, what are the physical demands? The physical demands against Borussia Mönchengladbach will probably be runs in behind, runs to create space. Against Bayern Munich, we're going to be pressed high. We're going to have to move the ball fast. When we lose the ball, we're going to have to counter press, win the ball back fast. So high level transition. So different physical levels in each game. And then the psychological demands. Is there psychological demands between both games? Some coaches say yes, some coaches say no. For me, the psychological demands are just different. You have to be always concentrated. You can say you have less time on the ball, but it doesn't mean to say your concentration level needs to be lower. because Bayern Munich press you more than Borussia Mönchengladbach will be. Your concentration maybe has to be higher on the ball when you play against Mönchengladbach because you have more time, so you need to be more patient. So concentration level must be high. When you're playing against Bayern Munich, maybe your communication, so your psychological communication to other players and teammates around you to recognize when Bayern Munich are pressing you. So it's different. It's different, can be different game to game, but it doesn't mean the demand is higher or lower. This creates your football performance. And we're always thinking about football action is not separated. So each action has a higher potential contribution, but never separated. So what I mean is when we go to press, the communication is let's press high, we go. So that's a tactical decision. Okay, the physical demand is we're high intensity or sprint or change of direction. The psychological demand is that we have to communicate. We need the concentration, we need the focus to go at the right moment. Technical output is lower because we don't have the ball. So in this instance, it's lower in technical and higher on the rest, but it's never separated. Okay, and every player in every moment will make a tactical decision. That requires them to be influenced by the football performance concepts. Okay, these decisions will require more or less of each concept. So how the player receives the information decides how they're going to move will be a tactical reference. They don't run free. So whatever information we're passing to them as a coach will be that reference point. And I think that's, for me, a key moment in football coaching, that every decision the player makes will be a tactical decision. So we must understand that even when the player, before he receives the ball, he needs to look, he needs to scan, he needs to see where the second pass is, or the third pass is, or how he's going to move after he makes the pass. These are 3-4 tactical decisions in one movement before they receive the ball. This is a slide I've tried to develop over the last few years, and it speaks about this football intelligence. So if we take Messi, you can argue not, for me, probably the best player in the world I've ever seen, and probably in history, I think. And he makes this quote that's always sort of stuck with me, and he says, the best decisions aren't made with your mind, but with your instinct. The more familiar you are with the situation, you become quicker and better at the decision you will be or make. So for me, he's talking about instinct. Where does that instinct come from? It comes from the training environment he has been in over his years at Barcelona. So how he moves, how he looks, how he receives the ball, how he takes his first touch or stops the ball or moves the ball or puts his sole of his foot on the ball. These are all tactical reference points to dribble, to pass, to make 1-2, to accelerate, to not come back with the team, to stay wide, to not go central, to find the space inside or outside. These are all decisions he's making based on instinct, but the pictures he sees. And this for me is football intelligence. So all the decisions he's making are about perception of the situation, collecting information, awareness of that information and situation, and then you make a decision, which is a football action. So this is complex in nature, but if we think about it, players who are just aware, they know how to play football, and you can say he's aware of how to play. So he receives the ball and he passes. Okay, there's other players who then collect a little bit more information. So before they receive the ball, they communicate to another player on the pitch. So they see other information on the pitch. They use that information to help make a better football intelligence decision. And then you have players who are aware of the situation, so they have a perception of what's going on around them. Okay, my winger's coming inside, my number 10 is going deep. I have 2 options on the pass. So I'm aware of that situation. I'm collecting information, and then I'm going to make a decision. And then you've got the football players who are with intelligence, so the higher level. So they understand all the concepts and they understand what's going to happen in the future. So when they did research with players, those players could tell you what the other players were going to do or what the second or third phase of the actual possession would be. Not only in possession, but out of possession. So if my striker goes to press and show wide and my left winger is not high enough, he's out of position, he'll know that the ball is going to go to their number 6 inside. So he'll go and press that number 6 because he understands the situation. So this is football intelligence for me, and I think it was worthwhile sharing with you today to maybe pass on the next information I speak about around tactical game model examples. Now we come to probably the the main reference of the whole presentation is you have to think about constructing your own periodization. I've given some examples. They're out there for everyone to read. But really, for me, it's about uh, thinking about your team, thinking about your level, thinking about your players, thinking about how you want them to play and how you want to be as a coach. Maybe think about the environment of the league, the opponents, maybe thinking about the objectives for the season, and trying to build the best periodization model for you and the players to develop. So we must look at current research. So that underpins maybe some physiology of periodization. So some things we've spoken about, using small-sided games, using bigger pitches, manipulating numbers and pitch size for different physiological demands. So, as I said at the start, knowing the cultural and environmental factors that may influence it. Staff knowledge is maybe passed on to you, maybe knowledge you've known of the league of over years. Is it your first year coaching the team? Is it your 10th year coaching the team? So all that knowledge, the culture and environment factors, the staff that you're working with has got to be passed to you and help you construct the periodization. Then your own experience. So what's your own experience over the years? How have you developed as a coach? What do you understand now is the best way for those players to be trained? Drawing your own experience, gained through mistakes and achievements. And then really the context, like I said at the start. So what is the team, the players? What's the club context? What's the vision? What's the goals? What's the goals of you as a coach? What's the goals of the players? Everyone will be different. So how do we bring everyone together to have one common goal, one common way of play that everyone has a enthusiasm to play for? So we speak about in Scotland love of the game. So you've got to love the game. To understand the game, you've got to have that passion for the game, and I'm sure and it is true in all countries. They have a love of the game. So that, for me as a coach, must translate to your players, but it's got to translate in terms of how you construct that periodization. So if you believe in bigger pitches or smaller pitches, or you believe in a match day -2 must be a complete recovery day, or match day -4 is your really intense day, whatever your periodization model is, the players must understand the process, must understand how you want them to play, and then give them space and time to understand those concepts, and let them play. Let them play. Don't overcoach it. The game model principles for me should come out in the drill that you've prescribed your team to do. So if I just go back quickly to this one. So it's a small-sided game. So if we just say it's a small-sided game, play. How are they going to play? I don't know. Maybe the goalkeeper will play a chip pass to the right midfielder. Okay, but we have two centre-backs inside the box. So why are the two centre-backs there? And the goalkeeper doesn't understand that we're a possession-based team we want to play out. So that means that he doesn't understand tactically how we want to play. You should be able to set up a drill and say, it's small-sided game. Red team, you'll always start with the ball. Goalkeeper will always start with the goal kick. Let's play. You shouldn't even need to say your game model, your style of play, because of sessions before. If it's the first time doing it, okay, yes. But from the sessions before and from the weeks before, they should understand this drill directly. What you want, what you want from them as a coach in terms of the game model.
All right, coaches, if you enjoyed that little section of Ian's webinar, it's a 90-minute full webinar on tactical periodization. Phenomenal detail. You can get it on the link below on the Modern Soccer Coach website on our periodization package special offer with 10% off. Please check that out. We've got 4 professional coaches on there giving different presentations on periodization, on how to prepare your team. Ian's is specifically on tactical periodization, and the full thing is well worth watching. Please check that out, modernsoccercoach.com. I'll put the link below. But afterwards, here is the free interview that we did with Ian. Again, outstanding insight and plenty of perspective around putting tactical periodization into practice. Here we go.
All right, first one I have, a lot of coaches over here have GPS tracking data, but don't have an expert alongside them, which is obviously problematic. What advice would you have to coaches that are just collecting this data every single day and probably don't know how to connect it to tactical models? Like, what's the first step in that?
Uh, I can give you the best answer or the political answer.
Do you know what?
I mean,
But seriously, is the best answer
like,
that it's a waste? Like, is that a waste of
yes.
money? Mm.
Okay, it can give you a reference. If you want a reference for the load for the day. So like I said in the last slide, if you have your model there and you say, okay, I train this way. Okay, we know things can change on the day and things. But if you have a way of training, it can give you a reference point to say, okay, we have this data for each day. So if I want to do more or less, I can change it. But what is more and what is less? So I say about red line, I didn't put in this presentation. It was more heavy sports science I'd put in there. So we don't have a red line of, so what's human performance? Human performance is where we don't know in football. It's changed over the years. So human performance in football back then was there. Now human performance is there. So where will it be in 10 years? So what will take us the evolution in 10 years time? It'll be a change in the way that we train. It could be less games, it could be more games, it could be less training, it could be more breaks in the season. So something will change and develop our game that will make the game better, you hope, in the future. So your reference back to GPS is if you don't understand it, don't collect it, don't show the players. If you have some sort of reference point, you say, okay, this is my model. Okay, this day I do 5,000 K, this day I do 7,000, this day I do 4, this day I do 3. I can give you one reference point. But what does that mean in terms of developing your squad? So I say to coaches, okay, today we've planned for this, but if you want to do more, we can do more. It's not a problem. If you want to say, okay, we'll just do a running drill. No. This is different. If you want to do more football to develop a tactical concept or idea, or you feel the team need a little bit more time, then continue the work. But then you maybe have to adjust something so you don't have fatigue. This is clear. You can't be silly. You can't just be doing overlapping runs with the fullbacks on match day -1 or match -2. They might have fatigue. For sure, they'll have fatigue for the match. Will they get injured? That's another question. Who knows? Who can answer that? A lot of people would say yes, but maybe they won't get injured. There's another debate for another day. So collecting GPS is can be good, can give you a reference certainly for the week that you can use. But if you don't understand it and you don't have a concept of how to manipulate it or change it for the better for the player, then just leave it.
See another one, like software readiness apps, where they're now, you get those pretty common now in America. People check in the morning, how they're doing.
Yep.
Is there value around that?
Look, for me, they're great. They're great, but you need to communicate it on the level the player understands the reason why. So I'm a coach. Hey guys, we're gonna have to have your wellness and your sleep, and it's gonna be fantastic. And you report, and I'll read it every day, and everyone know how you feel. Okay, but what's the decision around it? So what's the performance decision? So we speak about performance decisions. So I'm now the coach. I receive PDF, my 20 players. 3 have slept 6 hours because the kids have been up. 4 of them are fatigued, and 3 of them feel their left hamstring. What are you going to do? Are you going to pull them out? Are you going to speak to them? Are you going to change your session? Are you going to reduce the session? You have all those questions to answer. So I would say if you're in an environment and you're a coach who believes when you receive that information, you can make the best decision for your training session, for that player and for your team, then use the app. But what I would say is don't forget to speak to the players. Don't put the app in there to just your communication to the players. Go and speak to the players. Yes, I'm a head coach. I can't speak to 25 players in a day. I understand that. But and I say this to young coaches and young practitioners, we normally have a spreadsheet, all the players' names, days of the week above the top, and then which member of staff spoke to that player. So I'm head coach. I spoke to player A, B, C, D, E, F, G during the week. It could be different days, but my second coach spoke to the other players during the week. Then my head of fitness spoke to the other players on this day of the week. So at the end of the week, we can see this is their team. Okay, this player got 3 contacts. This player had 1 contact. This player had 7 contacts. So it's just a quick reference point to make sure that we're touching the players from a human side, because the app shouldn't take away the human side. you're walking along the corridor, hey, Gary, how are you today? I'm good, good. Yeah, how's the kids? Coach didn't sleep well last night. Okay, yeah, I've seen in your app that, you put down 6 hours sleep. That's why I was wanting to come and speak to you, And he said, no, coach, I feel good. I feel really good. It's just the kids, it's normal for me now. I'm in this normal routine. And then you can say, okay, I understand, Gary, but maybe the days you need to think about, can you maximize your sleep? I'm not going to reduce your training or, not think about you for selection, but just be aware that I'm aware of your situation. If you want to speak and knock on the door and come and have a coffee, then let's come and speak. So it's using information to make the best decision. I always say performance decision because it's based on performance and development, but it's about performance. So the apps are good. I like them, but it's how you use it is always the key.
I'm obviously fascinated by the tactical periodization with Friday, and I've read quite a bit about it. I wouldn't be an expert, but I've tried to get as much reading out of it. And one of the things I actually followed up on this a couple of weeks ago, one of the books I've got, and a lot of it talks about this concentration as intensity, focus as intensity, rather than the physicality being intensity. So, I find this so interesting where I wonder sometimes, again, and you alluded to this in a couple slides, where some players are not focusing as much as other players are. But I feel as if some coaches would assess focus. Oh, we were really focused today. When maybe a more experienced or a higher level coach is going, that's not high level focus there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess, how is focus defined as being elite level?
I think for me, this is probably based around understanding the game model, but understanding the communication process between the team. So, example, I'm Liverpool and I'm Salah, and I go to press the fullback, but my teammates behind me are not ready to press. So I would say that Salah's not focused, but also maybe the midfielders are not focused because I gave the communication. So Salah's not turned around and said, let's go, let's press, and he goes to press. Or the players behind him have seen that he's went to press, and they realize that they're not ready. Hey, Salah, don't press, stay narrow, stay narrow. Now let's go. So that would be, for me, a focus example. The intensity comes around, I think, can you be focused for 90 minutes? So we say in the UK, it's like 1 second change a game. You switch off for 1 second, you lose a match. If we look at, I'm staying here in Croatia, look at the Croatia match, 97 minutes and 40 seconds, they battled for 30 minutes, they battled. And at one moment, someone switched off. Or there was no communication to that player who switched off or lost focus. So who lost focus? So it's a team game, it's a team sport with individual qualities, but ultimately it's a team decision to make that mistake because one player's decided something, but his teammates haven't helped him. So we speak about individual. When I analyze individual, no, I don't analyze individual errors. I analyze team mistakes or team breaking performance. So it's not one player went to make a slide tackle and missed a slide tackle and then we lost the goal. But why did he do that? Why did the other players let him do that? What was the moment that led up to that? So how did we get out of shape that led up to that moment? So if we speak about focus, so probably the biggest team in the world you could say is more defensively focused is Atletico Madrid. They've done it for over 10 years. They are focused. They have intensity every single second of the game almost. They never get broken down in intensity and focus. So if I'm my team and I look at my performance, say defensive action like this, then it's the focus of the team that's been lost. So it's the integration of the human interaction, so the social ecological system that we find ourselves in and how we play and how we interact will be the key moment of how we put the focus intensity into training or performance. So it's not just that one player that's responsible, it's the other players as well. So I never look at an individual error and just say it was an individual error. Yeah, you can say some moments are, but there's always something that led to that moment that could have not happened. That another player could have helped for sure.
The game is the starting point. The model is the starting point. Absolutely brilliant. But I see a lot of coaches now getting confused, or maybe getting the principles and system mixed up, where you're now looking at a blank template on a 4-3-3 roles and responsibilities and rolling that out as a game model. Can you give some advice on ways you can kind of catch yourself not to fall into a formation reference point?
Yeah, so formation or system is, for me, numbers. So we play 4-3-3, but I don't think there's any real moment on the pitch that looks like 4-3-3. So if you were to take a screenshot like I did, and show me a picture where it looks like 4-3-3, I don't think you'll see that picture. Maybe a goal kick, maybe, depends how the players set up, maybe goal kick. Goal kick is probably the main one I can think. You'll see some reference points, but fullbacks will be high, fullbacks will be inverted. Centre midfielder will drop between the centre backs, like I showed in the video. Midfielders will come inside. You'll have extra number 9s. So you start 4-3-3, but it might not end up like that. And I think if we get caught up in numbers, you'll start to not confuse yourself. But it's the principle play. So I want to keep possession. So how do I keep possession? I want to build with 2 players in the back, 3 players in the back. But those 3 players in the back could be 2 centre backs and 1 fullback. Could be 2 centre backs and 1 centre midfielder. So my formation can be 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But my principle is I want to build with 3 at the back. But who makes up that 3 is down to the players and the situation at that moment. So we speak about if it's 4-3-3 formation, I want to build with 3. I give the license to my centre midfielder to drop within the centre backs or go to the side of the centre backs. So you can go left or right or drop within. Or I say to my centre midfielder, I don't want you to drop in between. I don't want you to go to the side. I want the fullback to drop down. That's my 3 at the back. So it's the principle, is the reference, and then the sub principle, or the micro principle, or the intelligence of the player. In tactical periodization, we would probably veer away from that and say, well, it's up to the player to decide. So the player knows that, or the players know that we want to build with 3. So who makes up that 3? The player intelligence and the centre midfielder. My fullback says to me, Ian, drop between the centre backs. We're open on the right side. Okay, I drop between, we switch the play and we go to the right side. But if I said, as a coach, it can only be my fullback, then we'll lose the fullback on the right side because he knows, or he's been told the coach must say, I've got to come and build there. So when we tried to go to the right-hand side, we don't have the numbers because he's down too low. But it's the fullback that recognises the space. It says the centre midfielder, drop within, we play outside the right side. We have numbers on the right. You see the difference? There's one example. So it's numbers are numbers. How you play, it's the game model, game style, way to play.
Class. All right, last one. Put you in the spot here. I know you enjoy this answer.
You haven't already.
All right. This is a whole new world, and obviously I've heard from yourself and other people how intense this education. You're a master's candidate, so I can only imagine with your bank of experience in the game as a football practitioner and as a sports science brain as well. Like, and if someone with that background is saying that something is really challenging, then God, it must be. But coach education, I've heard, what is challenging in coach education today. It sounds like you're getting challenged in understanding and linking and connecting. Whereas in coach education, sometimes we're challenged with being up till 2:00 doing a report, or it's inconvenient. And I wanted to get your thoughts on, do you think coach education, not the tactical periodization concept, but just the global piece, it's had a lot of growth and just to put that out, it's got a lot better. It's doing some great stuff. But do you think it's too easy?
Whoa. I like how you threw that in at the end. I think it's too easy. Look, I'm an A-license coach with the SFA. I'll look to do my pro license hopefully next year. I think it depends how much work you put into it yourself. So yes, it can be ticky box. It's easy. You just put in the bare minimum and you pass. It can be. Or you go outside of the realms of the course and try to educate yourself another way with books, with conferences, with courses, and listen to people. In reference to tactical periodization with Friday, it blew my mind. It's like the more knowledge you gain, the less you know. It was like starting again in terms of coaching, and it's not for the faint-hearted. There's a lot going on in there, neuroscience, social science. It's not just football. There is a bigger depth. It doesn't give you, here's the model, this is how to coach. You have to find out how you want to coach, how you believe you coach. And there's concepts there, yes, that drive your passion to learn that way. But in reference to the courses, I don't think they can go that in depth with the science. Maybe pro licenses start to touch a little bit in those areas, but I think by then it's too late because I've coached a certain way. And, I've copy pasted, I've done the drill, and I only coach this way. I have my progressions and I do this. Okay. But why you have those progressions? So now I'm coaching, I come to coach your team in a guest session. And you say, Gary, I want Ian, I want you to work in possession. Can you show me a possession drill for 4-3-3? And you say to me, can you show me some progressions in the drill? I would say to you, what do you mean by progressions in the drill? The progressions in the drill will come from how the players will play and understand the drill and how I put my coaching intervention in place. So, for example, we do 5 passes in this, we do 10 passes in this. Why? Well, that's the progression. Okay. And now the progression is 2 touches. Why? Because in a pitch, you're going to say, hey, it's only 2 touches in the pitch. Five passes, and no, I gave examples there of that because that's the way that people coach, and that's the way how we set up drills. What I would say to people who are listening is that think about the game. So what's the essence of the game? When you watch a game of football, really watch a game of football. So how does Messi play? How does Busquets play? How does Xavi and Iniesta play? How did Ronaldinho play? How did Maradona play? How does De Bruyne play? How does Ronaldo play? So we have to understand the football and the top players, how they fit into a team and how they interact. And that for me then so if I'm Messi, do you think Messi gets told to play 2 touch in Barcelona? No, I wouldn't have thought so. You think Busquets has to play 1 touch? If he takes 3 touches, he gets a foul against him? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't think so. So we limit touches and we limit, so we put constraints you can put constraints, understand the rationale with constraints. So, or understand the rationale and progressions to try and get to where you want to go. But really think about and I'm throwing a few grenades out there just to get people thinking, but really think about what you want to develop and how the player sees that in relation to the game. So the player will understand this is the possession drill. The coach says, I want to keep 10 passes and I'm only allowed 2 touches. But in the game, I take more than 2 touches and we try to score with I don't know how many passes. So now you're limited the player. You put constraints on my mind as a player. So how I interpret that affects how I'm going to play. Now, is that how I play on a Saturday? Yes or no? I don't know. Depends on the context. For Messi, no. For De Bruyne, no. So how that drill is set up will give the reference point to the player. So the instinct that Messi talks about. So if I'm Messi, I'm going to create this instinct. So I receive the ball, I look up, I touch, I put my foot on the ball. And I've heard some coaches say, don't stop the ball. Don't stop the ball. Why? Why? Don't stop the ball. Why? I don't understand. And I'll give you one example on that. When I come from Scotland, so I'm sure you can hear my voice. come from Scotland, and I went to Dubai, then Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, we had five Brazilian players who all stopped the ball with the sole of their foot.
Yeah.
All of them stopped the ball with the sole. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is terrible. Stop the ball with the sole of your foot. You should never do that. We don't do that. And a coaching course can't do this. Don't stop the ball. Keep the ball rolling. Always have the ball. Okay, fine, no problem. So I spoke to the players. And I said, look, guys, like, give an example. I had a laugh and a joke. And I said, in Scotland, I'd get sacked. I wouldn't pass my course if you stopped the ball with your sole of your foot, having a joke. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, actually, why do you do it? And they said, look, we play futsal. And I said, okay, play futsal. So we learn to control the ball at that. And I said, no, I understand that. I said, but do you think that's the best option? And they said, what, to stop the ball? Are you crazy? And I said, yeah. And I said, explain to me. And he said, look, when the ball comes to us, when the ball comes to me and I'm in space, and I'm looking around the pitch and my players, this is a Brazilian player doing this, and I look around the pitch at all my players, how they're moving, who's running in behind, who's coming short, who's coming to support me, is the fullback going there, is the midfielder, who's on are they pressing us, are they not pressing us? When I stop put my foot on top of the ball and stop the ball, everyone has to change what they're doing. Every single player has to change what they're doing on the pitch and think something else. So he said, who's in control of the situation, me or them? And I said, you. And he said, so why wouldn't I stop the ball? And then I thought, that's very clever. Now think about Messi. Now think about De Bruyne. Now think about the Spanish players. Now think about these players, Ronaldinho, Maradona, who all these players, Pele, who all stopped the ball, sold their foot or stopped the ball, then moved. Zidane was huge at it. So there's a reason why they did it. There's a reason why they did it. So in that example, that's what I'm saying. Think about the game, think about the way the game's played, try to understand why players do things, and then try to put it into the concept of the training process. And believe me, that's not easy. So back to the coaching course. Back to the coaching courses. I think it gives a reference point to coaches of how to coach and set up coaching. 100%. And I think all the federations, UEFA, FIFA, they all try to do their best on that. What I would say, just as a young coach or even seasoned coaches, go a little bit deeper into how the game's played. Because if you speak to a coach can come on here with way more experience than me, way less experience than me, and describe the game better than I can. And that's fantastic for me. I only know what I know, and I try to help people. And I love the game, so I don't mind doing these things, and it's great for me. And to have this discussion is phenomenal. But I always think about the game, how the game's played, and how you see the game, and how that translates to the player. Because what you say to the player affects the decision that they make.
Because you brought his name up so many times, Messi. All right, so I'm watching him last night, and pardon my ignorance, but I didn't know he just turned 37. I thought he was 34. I had no idea. So I'm watching the game. I'm thinking. Then the commentators are saying bravo and goal, 41. Played in like 8 or 9 Copa Americas. So you've got a 37-year-old, a 41-year-old. You got Ronaldo playing today, who's, you would know, I don't, however old Ronaldo is. You mentioned Busquets, the longevity of Xavi and Iniesta, but these guys are playing every single week. Messi doesn't miss games. Ronaldo doesn't miss games. How do you think that in today's day and age, like NBA is kind of going through this of, well, recover, rest, recover, we'll miss out a game, and people are saying rotation. How do these guys keep going all the time, in your opinion?
This is a big question. You finished on a big one, eh? I think I said this. I think I did say this. Love of the game.
Yeah.
So we say we love the game, but I always say, do you really love it? Do you really, really, really love it? So a player said to me, I love this game. I've dedicated all my life to this game. I say, do you really love it? Have you, and I'm not being derogatory, I'm not being dismaying to any player out there. What I'm saying is, do you really love it? Do you spend all your time trying to be the best that you can, because your career is from 18 or 16 if you're lucky, for 25 years if you're really lucky, 20 years. So you've got 20 years to maximize from your 16 to your 36. That's if you're the top end. Most players maybe get 10, some players get 5. So what's the difference of those players to the high level players? I'm not saying it's just about dedicating your life, because a lot of players dedicate their life and don't get to the top for whatever reason, luck, not being the right manager, not being the right environment, with the right coach. I understand that, and that's why I say I'm not being derogatory to other players. But I always say to players, 18 years of being in the game, and players will tell you they love it, but not all of them really love it. They're not dedicate everything. Like you said, their rest, nutrition. I mean, Messi, Ronaldo spent money in their earlier years to help their career, in different things. Ronaldo got a personal chef when he went to Man United. Okay, you can say that Man United was earning good money, but he still did it. There's still other kids that had that chance and didn't do it. There's kids at Man United now earning 10,000 a week. 10,000 a week, so 40,000 a month. I don't think they get personal chefs. All of them don't. They buy recovery garments if they believe in that. If they got an ice bath, if they got a sauna, if they spent money on keeping their feet right, going to a podiatrist every week, different things that you can do to make yourself a better player. Are you looking after your sleep pattern? Is your lifestyle good? Are you drinking 1 beer after the game? Do you think that's good? Are you eating pizza? Are you doing this? All those things add up, and then you magnify that over a season, 2 seasons, 5 seasons. It makes a big difference. So, but I think the way that you play, just the way that you play and the love of the game, I think the psychological side of human performance is massive. And in every sport, we have this example. In every sport, we have the older player, the older guy, Tom Brady in the NFL. He's still playing. Why is he still playing? Compared to other quarterbacks. There's an example in every sport. And I think it comes down to, do you really love it? Or are you maximizing everything that you can do? Would probably be my answer.
Brilliant. All right, no more. Great way to finish it. Ian, thank you so much.
All right, okay.